And if you're going to try to give an elevator pitch to explain the last 3 movies, you're going to fail. There's no chance that you could explain all the 3 last movies in the amount of time it takes you to ride an elevator.
Welcome back to Is This for Kids? We're still talking
about Star Wars.
And now we'll move on to the sequels, episodes 7, 8, and 9.
Yes, so we're looking at Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. Have you ever seen that thing where they're like, all of the Star Wars episodes are wrongly named and they should be swapped around?
No.
Oh, it's a whole thing. I don't know it all off the top of my head, but you should Google it.
Yeah, this will be a clip on Instagram, and they'll put it together probably, and then.
Oh, it'll take forever.
Never mind.
Because there's 9 movies. There's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many.
Like the one with Rey should have been called A New Hope instead of the first one. It was a whole thing. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. The new Star Wars movies.
Yeah, so far we're like pretty. You and I are pretty in line. You're a little bit younger than I am, of course,
as always,
but pretty in line with the first 6 that we talked about, and now we're talking about the sequels.
So the ones that came out most recently here. So the plot here that we're looking at, this is after the war in Endor with all of the Ewoks.
Here come the politics.
So much politics, right? So the Empire has fallen, and now out of the Empire comes the First Order, and then you've got your New Republic. So the First Order is seeking to end the New Republic, which is being defended by Princess Leia in the first movie, who is now General Leia Organa. Apparently that's an elected position on her planet as well. Who knows? Whatever. And you've got all of the characters kind of back from the original Star Wars series. You got your Han Solo, you got your Chewie.
Which was
Leia.
Cool.
Yeah, very, very neat. But very quickly we find out that Leia and Han Solo's son is a special little guy named Kylo Ren.
Yeah, who looks like the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence.
I'm sorry, Trevor. We didn't mean it like that.
Sorry.
Well, anyway.
Sorry, Kylo.
So, right. Anyway, so Kylo Ren kind of breaks away from his parents, who are New Republic types, and becomes a First Order jerk face. And then we've got Rey running around. I'm not even entirely sure how she gets involved. Here's kind of the overarching thing with the sequels. And we're going to get murdered on the internet for this. I'm so sorry, nerds.
I enjoyed them.
Yeah, it's just the plots were really hard to follow. And if you're going to try to give an elevator pitch to explain the last 3 movies, you're going to fail. There's no chance that you could explain all the 3 last movies in the amount of time it takes you to ride an elevator.
Okay, I'm with you. As you were talking about the plots, I was bored.
Right. It's just too much politics.
And I would actually go so far as to say that that's the problem with all the Star Wars movies. Is that you can get really, really, really into it, but I don't think we were ever supposed to. so like when the fact that like I've seen them all and still can't keep up in conversations with people is crazy. And you know what? Everyone has that. Like Lord of the Rings, same thing. Like, and I love Lord of the Rings. It's probably my all-time favorite books, all-time favorite movies. There are things that I don't know about it. I still haven't read the prequels yet and all those other Tolkien things. So you can take anything too far. But I remember watching these 3 movies, the sequels, and being thoroughly and wildly entertained, sitting in a movie theater. And even when it was done, having no idea what really happened.
Yeah, I rewatched them for this podcast, and I'm still like, I'm not entirely sure what was going on there.
Yeah, it's hard to follow everything. There's so many things happening. There's different political factions.
The lady from
the characters
Jurassic
to me,
Park was in it.
Yeah, the characters are kind of similar to me. I mean, Kylo Ren just reminded me a lot of Anakin.
Yeah.
Well,
he wanted to. Like, I get that he wants to be like his grandfather, and then there's this whole like redemption arc at the end, how he wants to, embrace good and also love, and like this whole thing that, the Jedi were opposed to feeling strong feelings, and the Sith were all about, embracing your bodily needs or whatever. And he wanted to kind of marry the two and make it something normal, which is fine and good. It's just from a perspective of movies is whether or not kids are going to like it. I think we're too in the weeds by the sequels to entertain kids.
Agree. My point of saying that when you were talking about the plot, that I was bored. I was not bored during the movies. I thought they were great, but like talking about the plot to me is kind of boring. And if I think they're boring, your kids are probably going to think they're boring. At least the plot part. They might enjoy the fighting and the lightsabers and all that kind of stuff. Still fine. Here's the deal, though, for whether or not it is for kids. There's more blood. in the sequels. There's more death. There's more just like when I say more death, like a lot of death happens, but then there's just like dead bodies laying around pretty often compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
There's more darkness, I think, outside of episode 3, which has a lot of it. There's just in general, they just feel more mature to me. So I'm kind of like, what's the point of if I'm saying that, like, you know, episodes 1 through 6 are going to be like ages 9, 10, 11, then the sequels for me are like 12 and up. Watch them when you're 12 and up. Maybe they'll like them more.
Yeah, I would say 12 and up, maybe they would like them more. But to me, I think that unless they are huge Star Wars fans, that it might just turn them off of a love of Star Wars. Like, for me, I am a huge fan of the first 2 sets of movies. And by the time we got to the third, I was just, oh, goodness, this is just super a lot. And from a perspective of talking to kids, you were real stressed out about, you know, Mufasa dying at the hands of Scar. So watching Kylo Ren kill his father is kind of just so much worse to me. Especially Han Solo is somebody we've gotten to love over the course of many movies.
A perfect character.
Yeah, so many movies we've had Han Solo in our lives. And if your kid has watched all of the movies, then Han Solo is like a part of him now. And to watch his son kill him is so much worse than Mufasa, who we only knew for 20 minutes before he died, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's traumatic and terrible. So yeah, like, as far as from a kid's perspective, I would say that they're probably fine when they're 12 and up, but I would maybe just shy away from watching them at all if you want them to continue liking Star Wars.
If you do want them to continue liking Star Wars or get them into Star Wars at all, don't forget that Lego Star Wars, The Quest for R2-D2 is a short movie which aired on Cartoon Network in August of 2009. It's 10 minutes and you can watch that.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, it's so bad, but it's so good.
There was like a Star Wars Clone Attacks or something like that. That was a cartoon.
There's a bunch of seasons of
really
that.
Good.
It is ranked number 1 of all the Star Wars animated shows, the Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Let's do that.
So check that out.
Maybe instead.
Overall, though, like for me and Star Wars in general, I was surprised at how much I did think that most of the Star Wars movies were for kids, and I'm super pumped over the next few years to start watching them with my 8-7-year-old.
Yeah, and I would like to just caution you that just because Star Wars is for kids does not mean Spaceballs is for kids, because they are not the same, and Spaceballs is not for kids.
Yeah, Spaceballs is not for kids yet, at least. We haven't done the episode yet. We can't spoil it.
We're not going to do a whole episode on Spaceballs. That's way too niche.
Okay. Way too niche, but Mrs. Doubtfire wasn't.
No, everybody loves Mrs. Doubtfire.
All right.
We're going to fight.
Don't join the dark side.
Maybe do. I have a whole theory behind it.
The Force is with you.
And with your spirit.
Great job. People can find everything they want to know about Is This For Kids at isthisforkids.com.
Yep.
We have a Patreon now. We have so many different ways for you to get involved. Instagram, YouTube, comments. Mm-hmm. Let us know what you think. Rate the show. We're having a lot of fun. We hope you are too. And know that we are always, always, always keeping you in our thoughts and our minds, because parenting nowadays is tough.
It's so hard.
So we have your back.
Yep.
Until next time.
See you later.